Hello, everyone. Alanna Kaivalya here. Welcome to Rooted Radio. Today we are talking about desire without guilt. Because I want you to have everything you desire, and we need to leave the guilt behind. We have been living with it for way too long. And so, this will be a talk about how to get what you want without apologizing for it and making sure that you understand how sacred and feminine your desire is. It truly is. And I think that many of us as women have been deeply cut off from our desire, been told that we either don't deserve it or haven't earned it, and that we need to stay small because otherwise we're just asking for too much. How many of us have been chastised for being too much? I know that I have, and that can be a scary place to be. So we keep ourselves small, we minimize our desires, we don't speak them out loud for fear of being rejected or denied anyway. So let's get back into this idea of desire being sacred and set an intention today for our Rooted Radio that this will be about reclaiming our yes without justification. If you've been with me for a little while, you've likely heard me talking about reclaiming your no and really owning your no. How to own your no is the first step in no longer abandoning yourself. If you've missed any of those talks, they are here in the Rooted archives, so make sure you check those out. But the other side of that is the yes, the thing that makes us feel alive and connected to our sense of femininity, our life force, and our creativity. I want to share a little story with you about a conversation I had the other day with one of my coaching clients. Amazing, precious, special. And just like many of us, she's a woman who has overridden her intuition for so long that it's difficult for her to know what her intuition is saying and even for her to trust it. And that's not an uncommon condition, and it results in a lot of nervous system dysregulation for us because we're not listening to our internal messages, we're ignoring our needs, we're subjugating ourselves in the face of others, we're performing for them to try and stay included and belong. And when that becomes your normal, your nervous system rewires itself around that, and that can create a lot of hazard as well as a continued pattern of behavior that leaves you last. So we worked on her no, finding her no, and really understanding that she needs to own that. And that's how we create feminine boundaries. And I explored with her what would feel like a yes. When was the last time something came up for you that your body lit up around, that you had the sense of desire for? And she named it. And I said, and how does that feel? And her response was, it feels scary. It feels scary. Because historically, for her and for many of us, which is why I share this story, saying yes, feeling desire, asking for something has resulted in rejection, punishment, abandonment, negation, getting left behind, getting swept away. And so we've almost trained ourselves out of feeling a sense of desire or even feeling okay with having a sense of desire. This is cultural and generational conditioning. You see, good girls, they don't want too much. Good girls, they stay quiet. Good girls, they don't speak up for themselves. Well, ladies, fuck being a good girl. Be a wild girl. Be the wildest, feminine, freest woman you know. We've learned that desire is dangerous. It's excessive. It's seen as selfish, especially for women. I mean, if you think about, I was actually, I was doing some research because y'all know how I love my research. That little doctorate behind my name. I love my academics. I love my research, and I talk quite a bit about the pay gap for women. Right, that women earn about 80 cents to every dollar a man earns, which obviously that has to change. We can't continue with that. But I was then reading about the orgasm gap and how an entire industry has been created for men for their sexual health to make sure that they can be pleasured and continue to have sex throughout the ages, throughout their, lifetime. And we don't even have a recognition of that for women. There's no pill out there that a woman takes to make sure that she can be satisfied during sex. And it is not uncommon for women not to orgasm during sex. It's not uncommon for women to never have orgasmed during sex. And there doesn't seem to be a recognition of the fact that a woman's pleasure is just as precious and valuable as a man's. That desire, that feeling we get when we orgasm, and I hope you all know what that is, ladies. I truly do. I'm not taking it for granted that some of you might not. But I hope you know that feeling because when your body comes alive with that kind of pleasure from orgasm, that is your body's wisdom really owning the life force energy that is your femininity. We do know that the way women feel pleasure during sex or anything else is different than the way men feel it. Ours is much more full bodied. Ours is much more sparkly on the inside. It's kind of the way I think of it. I know that's not a technical term, but the way I imagine it is that our life force is literally pouring into all of the vessels and atoms of our bodies, and we are lit up from the inside. We don't just get that feeling from sexual pleasure, though. That's probably where we can most easily recognize it because that spark fires and we feel it so intensely and all at once, but we can get pleasure from other places. And it comes, the root of it, what drives us toward it is desire, our soul's longing for something, connection, intimacy, creativity. Maybe you desire a bowl of ice cream. When it feels like it's coming from inside of you, that is desire. But oftentimes asking for that has gotten us in trouble. And so we've learned to edit ourselves to stay safe, likable, to be accepted. We've been taught to tone it down. We've even been taught to fake our pleasure, to pretend like we're happy, to smile and nod even when we are being violated in some way. And I don't even mean that on an egregious physical level. I mean it that way as well. But I'm thinking of an experience I had actually this week where I was texting with someone. I have something for sale on Facebook Marketplace, right? No big deal. Someone contacted me, asked me about purchasing this item, and it's a man contacting me. It doesn't have to be a man. This could be any person, but in this case, it's a man. And I wasn't available to show it to him, but one of my friends was graciously kind enough to meet him and show the item, um, and he saw the item and everything was fine. And I was available for questions and answers. And, the point is he's purchasing the thing. But in the following text messages after that, I said, did you have any other questions? And he said, yeah, why didn't I get to meet you? That's access. Access is a privilege, not a right. And so there's this sense of entitlement. There's this sense of course, he has the ability to ask for access to me, even though that's not part of the exchange. And the performance of trying to smile through that is a trained behavior. And I name it because I felt that pressure in that moment. Right. And I had to state clearly my boundaries like, look, it's the item that's for sale. You either want it or you don't. You have been given access to the item. All questions are answered. Access to me is not part of the deal. But I remember my soul's training for so long that would have said, I need his money. I need to sell the item. I need to be liked by him. And so to give him extra information or to smile and nod. And so that kind of pressure to always perform, to give ourselves away, to be negotiated with, bargained down, that's deeply ingrained for all of us. Part of the work that you and I do here, sisters, is to question these things because they are cultural and societal norms that unless we question them, unless we unpack them, unless we destructure them from our minds, they will just continue on. And while I know that it's important for you in your lifetime to reclaim your desire, to hold your boundaries, to recognize your clear yes, your clear no, to be a sovereign woman, to be a satisfied woman, as you learn to do that, you give permission to other women to do the same. When they see you stop performing, when they see you stop giving away access, when they see you no longer playing small, not only are they inspired by it, but now they have a roadmap to do it themselves. So, do you remember the first time you were told to tone it down? The first time you were told to stay quiet? The first time you felt, even if it wasn't expressed, that expectation to smile through your pain or to perform? Because all of those are going to cloud, diminish, and get in the way of your yes, of your true desire, of the true fulfillment of pleasure. So when I teach the embodied no work that I do, because and that really, for me on this path, the way of the satisfied woman, for me that really seems to be like a first step. And it's something that I teach in my coaching certification program. It's something I work on with my one-on-one coaching clients. It's something I talk about in my YouTube videos. Because so many women have been trained to be unboundaried. And when we're unboundaried, we cannot receive. And receptivity is a core feminine principle. And if we're not in our receptivity, then we're doing something else. We're probably doing masculinity. We're probably doing it in a heavy, wounded way. We're doing it in a way that burns us out, doesn't feel good. We're forgetting who we are. We're abandoning ourselves. Okay, so the no is important, but the yes is important too. And the origin of the yes is a desire. You will feel it welling up inside of you when your body, when your soul, when your internal systems recognize something that is yours, that is meant to be for you. Now, maybe this isn't true for you, but my experience is that the no comes often. The no is like that constant boundary holding of our space to maintain our receptivity so that when the yes comes, we can fully receive all of the desire and pleasure. Okay? Desire is a compass. It's not a flaw. It's not wrong. It's not selfish. Desire points the way to what is yours, to what is most right and true and good for you. Your desire is rooted in your truth, in your aliveness, in your pleasure. And as always for women, because women are embodied, women are embodied. We need to be in our bodies. We need to feel our bodies. We need to be responsive to our bodies. The masculine men are much more cerebral, right? They're in their heads. They're the thinkers. They're the logic, the reason, the rationale. We are the feelers, the intuitives, the emotional, feeling beings. Okay? Psychologically speaking, the feminine is the unconscious, and the masculine is the conscious. Now, it doesn't mean that men are better at logic. We all know that that's not true. It just means that that's their driving decision-making force. For us, our driving decision-making force needs to be our intuition and our emotions. We can then use our logic to figure out how to act on those decisions. But the decisions need to come from inside. And the amazing thing is that for us as embodied feminine women, those intuitions, those emotions, those internally made decisions do not have to make sense. They don't have to make sense. They don't have to make sense to us. They don't have to make sense to the world around us. When your body issues a desire, a yes, You don't have to know why. You don't have to know what it's for yet. But as an embodied woman, you do have to follow that through. So, desire is that compass, it's inside the body. You want to pay attention to that longing, that expansion. When I get you to do a quick little practice here, which is what we'll do now, um, your yes, your desire is going to feel like some form of good, right? Your internal no is going to feel like some form of bad. Like there's going to be a pressure, like, and you know what I'm talking about. When your boss asks you to work late, but you've got plans and you feel that pressure of, oh no, I really, I can't work late. That's going to feel bad. But then you override it and say yes anyway. Number one, that's self abandonment. But number two, you've ignored your core decision making process of intuition and emotion. And then that's when the dysregulation of the nervous system comes. We second guess ourselves. When that happens, when we're ignoring our intuition, our emotions, our logic and reason overfunctions, and we start to overthink. And we go into those spirals in our head that, trust me, serve no one. Okay? The embodied woman needs to stay out of those spirals, out of that. And it's not actually logic and reason. We're just trying to logic and reason over what we already know isn't right, or logic and reason ourselves out of what we know is right, of what we know would be right for us. It's gotten us into trouble, a lot of trouble. So, wherever you are, unless you're driving, come to a comfortable seat. Be comfortable where you are. And close your eyes. It's always the best way to do these things. Take a few breaths and feel into your body for a moment. And if you like, you can actually put your hands somewhere on your body that it feels like it's calling for a little bit of your attention. It doesn't usually take long, but deepen the breath. Maybe give your body a little massage or a rub somewhere. Just let it know that you're here with it. And if there's a place where your body asks you to stop and just pause there and breathe with it for a sec. Your body always knows. Your intuition and your emotions will respond when you turn your attention back to them. Just because you've been ignoring the compass for too long doesn't mean the compass is broken. You just haven't been looking at it. So feel the body. And now think back to a time recently where you felt desire, a desire for a particular meal, a person, an experience, maybe a desire for rest, self care in some way. Think back to a desire. And notice what you feel in the body. What does that desire feel like? Now let's not leap forward. Let's just stay with the desire. Wait, I don't want to know yet what you did with it. Just stay with the desire. What does it feel like? Does it feel expansive? Does it feel heat? Does it feel like a hunger or an ache, a good ache somewhere, a sparkle? What have you been quietly craving that your body is desiring and wanting to say yes to? And stay with that because that's your internalized yes. Every time your body or your intuition issues a yes, it's going to feel like this. So now you know. Now you know. When this sensation arises, this is your desire speaking. This is the pleasure that wants to be fulfilled. So take a moment and breathe into that sensation. Anchor it in with the breath. And offer some gratitude to your body right now for giving you this information. Just say thank you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's the sensation of desire, okay? When you have intuition or emotional sparks, they're going to come through you in this physical way. They just are. Women are embodied. This is how it happens. We are somatic in this way. And just as I encourage all the women I work with to pay deep attention to their no and honor it, I also encourage you, all the women I work with, to pay attention to your yes and honor it. And now there's a reason why, in that brief experience, I didn't go to the and then what did you do? Because too many of us, even when we feel that yes, that sense of desire, we shrink it or we deny it altogether. And that's guilt. We think that when desires arise, we need to deny them and we feel guilty about even having the desires. Guilt blocks our receptivity. So if we strengthen our boundaries and our no's and we create the space for receptivity, we cannot receive if we're not issuing this yes. If our guilt gets in the way, it's essentially the internalized voice of the patriarchy asking us to please everyone else first. And when we feel guilty for wanting anything, we shrink our ask or we deny it altogether. Our guilt for literally existing, for being happy, for wanting pleasure makes us over explain things, over apologize, and over function. And so, in the denial of pleasure, in the feeling of guilt, we don't become good girls, we become invisible. We literally give ourselves away. And we never get to experience what is our birthright, which is that divine feminine pleasure. Being lit up from the inside, having that full, effulgent sensation of fulfillment. And no matter where it comes from, right? The divine meal, the divine partnership, the divine experience, doesn't matter. Whatever brings you pleasure and joy, it is your birthright. And here's the thing, it is not selfish to ask. It is self-abandonment not to. When you ask, when you fulfill these pleasures, when you fulfill your yes, when you state those desires, when you act upon them, you're actually bringing more pleasure into the world. That activates the sense of pleasure and joy in others. Okay, pleasure is a divine feminine experience. We run pleasure through our bodies. Others feel it through us. So to deny ourselves pleasure is actually to deny those around us pleasure as well. Do you think anyone, anyone is feeling joy when you're not? They might be performing through it too. They might be sociopaths and not able to feel joy at all. They might miss those social cues, but at some point, that level of inauthenticity in you will cloud and then corrode the connection. So, your work now, dear sister, is to name what you want without softening it. So, just as I teach when women have their no, they issue no. No is a complete sentence, no explanation required. You just say no and then you're done. Same thing with your yes. Same thing with your desire. Say it, claim it, let it be heard. It's not about entitlement. It's about your truth. It's about authenticity. It's about living your fullest potential as a woman. Say it out loud. What do you want? I desire spaciousness. I feel most radiant when I have quiet to hear my own voice. I feel most nourished when I have a bath time and a glass of wine in the evening. When you anchor it to the sensation or to the feeling, then it's easy for anyone around you who needs to help you get this desire fulfilled to understand it a little bit better. Because remember, women are feeling. If it's just, I need a bath, there's a little more color when it comes from, the bath is what really connects me to myself. Yeah, let's do that. So say it out loud, anchor it to the feeling. Say it out loud, anchor it to the feeling. What do you want? And are you willing to receive it? And maybe use that as a journal prompt every day. Waking up, what do I want today? Where is my full bodied yes going? What do I want to claim for myself? Because you are sovereign. Sovereign queens claim shit. This is my space. This is my body. This is how I want to feel. And if you can't help me with that, either step up or step away. So, you know that I love curating our spaces, places, and relationships for ultimate satisfaction. I always advocate for that. So, keep in mind that desire is a doorway to your feminine power. It really is. Because as much as I advocate the no, it's the yes that's going to bring us out into the world. It's the yes that creates new things that never existed before. It's what taps us into our creativity. It's what lets us live out loud. You do not have to tone it down. You do not need to make yourself smaller or justify your hunger, your desire. Your yes is holy and your longing is divine. So name one desire without apology, and you are not too much. You are not dimming anymore. You are here to live a wildly satisfied life.